All right, and welcome in once again to another episode, Two Guys and Beer podcast here as we work our way into the next episode. Today's episode is going to feature Sierra Blanca, not a brewery that I've heard of, but it is going to feature the beer, the Alien IPA is what we're going with.
Yep, that's what we're doing this time, and I've never heard of Sierra Blanca Brewery either. And it is Alien IPA. It's a 7% alcohol content, and it's got an IBU rating of 81. The only reason we came across this beer is because I took my daughter on a road trip. We were down in Las Vegas. We went through Arizona. We were going into New Mexico, and we couldn't figure out where we were going. And like every road trip, we just wing it. And out of nowhere, I'm like, hey, Aurora, Roswell's in New Mexico. And she's like, okay.
What's that? What's
she
that
had
mean?
no clue.
I don't know what that means.
That's where the aliens crashed. I'm like, we can swing through there, check it out. And then, of course, once I told her where aliens crashed,
right,
she was all right, let's go to Roswell.
Let's do it.
Hit Roswell, and that's where I picked up the alien beer.
Nice.
Was in Roswell. So here we are, Alien IPA, Sierra Blanca Brewery.
Wrapping up our, I guess, Oktoberfest, more going with the Halloween-ish kind of theory now as we move into aliens from the Oktoberfest.
And, of course, the question we left off with the last episode is if you believe in aliens. But we'll wait on that answer here for just a little bit as we kind of go through the brewery, then we actually get into some alien-related stuff.
Before we get too far, we got to have the best part of the episode. There we go. Oh, I can already smell the hops.
Mm-hmm.
Like immediately, like it hits you.
Yeah, it's an IPA, that's for sure.
Ooh, yeah, that is. In a way, it doesn't taste quite as hoppy as it like the smell of hops immediately. It's almost like it tastes like it smells like it's like fresh hopped, which is more of a process of how you do it. Usually, it's when you brew a beer, you use like pellets or dried out or different types of hops. But like a fresh hop, you just take the hops literally just right off the vine. You don't dry them, you don't tumble them, you don't do anything. You just toss them right in there. And I did that one with Brandon that we've talked about a couple of times. We're going to get him on an episode here at some point in time. But that was a process we'd done then. And that's mostly what the hops would smell like. But I don't usually know a whole lot of beers that smell so hoppy but don't taste overly hoppy.
Yeah, it's not like overly strong. It kind of smells like, I don't know, citrus sweet type smell.
Yeah.
A little bit, maybe. Or kind of a fruity smell, maybe.
Definitely has a different, I'm not going to say, it's not a plain taste, but it's just not, the aroma is much more than the taste. And so it was such a powerful aroma that like as soon as I popped the top, I was like, whoa.
I wonder if the taste is kind of more like of a citrusy, sweet, piney finish type taste, kind of like maybe a drier aftertaste. I don't know. It's kind of a hard one.
It's pretty solid though. I do enjoy it. I don't know. This is going to be the challenge with this episode though, is I don't know how widely distributed it is. So,
right. Alien beer.
Go ahead and find your local IPA and grab that one.
Yeah, crack open an Alien IPA and drink it along with us. Yeah. I like the logo on it. It's got an alien head on there, a green alien head with hops in the head.
Yeah, it's the eyeballs are lighter colored hops, and there's not a lot going on the label. Usually, there's like a little bit of background or something like that, but it's just brewed by Sierra Blanca Brewing out of Moriarty, New Mexico.
I wonder if you're drinking this, if you'd be a hopduction.
Oh, there we go.
That's pretty clever there.
If that's going to happen,
have you been hopducted before?
If I not that I remember is the way that I'll word that. If there's a way to go, I mean, that might be if you're going to have that happen. A hopduction would be maybe my preferred way. I think.
Yeah, I think it's hoppy enough. It could be a hopduction. Maybe it's a hopduction taste.
I guess we'll see after I have a couple of them.
You'll be hopducted somewhere.
Exactly. I might start at quarterback for the Vikings next week.
Yeah. Oh boy, we don't need to get into that.
Yeah, we'll save that for the end of the episode, or maybe
boy.
next week, or maybe we won't talk about it at all. We'll stick to the beer.
So disappointing. Oh yeah, so Sierra Blanca Brewery, huh? So that's where this is from, in New Mexico. It started in a small facility in Carrizozo, if that's how it's pronounced.
Sounds close.
I don't know much about New Mexico, but that's where it started in 1996. And they claim they're one of the oldest breweries in New Mexico.
Well,
So,
when I think about brewery hotbeds and craft brewing, like Denver and Seattle and Albuquerque are the I don't know. I guess I laugh, but I'm not even making fun. It's not really someplace I've known it, so I guess 96, that makes sense, that's where they get some breweries going.
the hotbed of beer in New Mexico.
There we go.
Yeah, they opened up, since they opened up, they've grown into 12,000 square foot operation.
Oh, wow.
In Moriarty, like you already said on there. And what the cool thing about that brewery is they have a half an acre beer garden outside.
There you go.
Looking at the website, it looks really cool. Looks like a lot of fun. They opened that up in 2014 on that half acre.
Now that beer garden, you said you've seen pictures of this.
Yeah.
So is it kind of almost like Shells where it's like kind of an open park area, or are we talking like almost like a winery where you have like rows of hops or something?
It's like an open park area, like a big half acre lot.
Okay.
Is what it looks like to me on their website. They have like a covered bar out there, seating area, so you can drink outside and enjoy I'm sure New Mexico has fine weather. It was nice when I was rolling through there down south.
Very arid. Is that the right word for that? Dry.
Very dry. Yeah.
It's a dry heat. That's what I have relatives in Arizona. They always tell me it's not hot. It's just a dry heat. I'm like,
dry. Hot is hot.
It's just a wind chill. Like, come on, move back to Minnesota. Why is it a problem?
Hot is hot. The interesting thing about New Mexico, when I was driving through there, it seems like every 50 miles you're on a different planet. Like you have lush green forest. 50 miles later, now you're driving through a mountain. 50 miles later, now it looks like you're on Mars for 200 miles. After that 200 miles, it looks like you're going through the grasslands in Nebraska.
Right.
Like all in New Mexico. So that was quite interesting. And that was, of course, on our way to Roswell.
I think the only time that I've only driven through New Mexico, I think once, and that was we decided to drive from Minnesota to Arizona in a little 5 of us in a little Chevy Tracker, which was fantastic, by the way. If you're going to do a cross-country road trip, may as well cram everybody in there.
Remember that Tracker, actually.
Oh, my God. I woke up at like 3 in the morning at one point in time when I was going through Iowa because I accidentally hit the horn and it made me laugh so loud because it was... Anyway, but my mom listens to this episode. I'm definitely going to get some hate mail in the comments later on. So we drove down there and it drove through New Mexico, and it was just the interstate from one side to the other. So I didn't get a chance to be able to experience all of the different things. Like I've been told that's kind of what Arizona is like. You get further up into the mountains, you can get like Prescott or other areas a little further up. You get some of that, but I guess I didn't know that about New Mexico. I thought it was just, well, here's the desert and a road that goes from here to there. And it was trippy because it's like, well, there's absolutely nothing that way. And I looked the other way and there's absolutely nothing over that way. And, well, there's a road for forever going this way. That was about all I could see.
For probably the last 250 miles into Roswell, that's basically what it was. So you're on a 4-lane highway. Of course, now I forget which highway we're on. It's 2 lanes going one direction, 2 lanes going another direction. You think there would be a lot of traffic? Not anything.
Nothing at all.
I think the 3 or 4 hours we were driving this 250 miles into Roswell, I came across maybe 2 cars.
Oh, wow.
There's no gas stations. There's no
you got to plan
houses.
ahead then.
There's no nothing. So if you're going on this road, you need to be full of fuel, snacks in the car. You better hope you don't break down, because when I say nothing, there was nothing. Like you look out, you see nothing. It's just flat. And
we've had conversations about road trip etiquette and making sure you're prepared. So I don't know that would go real well. But you got to be prepared. Yes.
So, yeah, that was a little different. And it was kind of eerie because it was getting dark. The sun was setting. Aurora and I are driving to Roswell, of all places. I'm starting to look out my windshield, like, okay, there's nothing here, you know, like, is this a thing? Is this like, is there really aliens here?
You're gonna get hop ducted.
Yeah. Yes, that was quite the interesting drive. And the farther and farther we were driving on it, the more and more I was like, maybe this wasn't the greatest idea in the world, you know, because like if you literally break down, you're going to be out there by yourself for hours and hours. But the interesting thing, I had 5G the whole time.
I was just going to ask, like, if there was like cell phone coverage. Like, yeah, no kidding.
So yeah, the cell phone coverage was great.
Well, I mean, I guess if nothing else, there's that, you know, that was kind of going to be my next question. Like, if, you know, you did end up breaking down out there or ran out of gas or something like that, like, even if you got AAA, I mean, if you don't have service to call them, then it's kind of useless. But I suppose if there's at least that, then, you know, then that'll work. That'll help at least.
Yeah, so that wasn't too bad. And of course, as you come into Roswell, you know, they have their claim to fame is the aliens, you know, of course. So each entrance into Roswell on the freeway has got a big old sign with a spaceship that's flashing and whatnot. So that was kind of neat. Yeah, so that was pretty fun. But back to the brewery for the alien beer, I'm kind of getting off track there a little bit.
Well, it's tangent Tuesday on a Monday.
We're still talking about aliens, but this brewery, this beer garden out there that we were talking about, this half-acre beer garden, has a covered bar, seating area, horseshoe pits, bocce ball, tetherball, a pond.
Tetherball?
Tetherball. I haven't seen that forever. But here we have it.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, they have a pond, a barbecue grills, a bandstand for live entertainment. They have a gazebo where you can sit down. There's a fire pit like in the middle of this gazebo. You can sit down on the wooden chairs. There's been weddings there. And on the gazebo, when you're sitting on the chair enjoying your Alien IPA beer, there's hops that grows on the gazebo.
Oh, so perfect.
It kind of grows up the side and around the top and stuff. So that was kind of interesting to learn that about the place. In the fall and summer, they have a lot of live music on their band shell that they have out there on their lot, a lot of food trucks. Interestingly, too, right next to the brewery, they also own another lot that's all RV parking.
Oh.
And hookup. So,
well, there you go. I mean, I guess if you're driving to the middle of nowhere for 3 hours, park there for a little bit.
Yeah, and you can have as much alien beer as you want and sleep in your RV.
There you go.
Next door.
Yeah, less than hop ducted.
If you can get your way to the RV, if you don't get hop ducted in between.
You know, this is true. I wonder if they have security for you. Escorts. Not those escorts. Careful. Careful.
That's in the next state over. Oh, yeah. It's apparently one of New Mexico's oldest breweries. They brew up to 32 different beers. They've earned multiple different awards. The ones that have won awards, Green Chili Cerveza, a Cherry Wheat Beer, Bone Chiller Brown Ale, Sun Chaser Pale Ale, the Alien Amber Ale has won some awards, and actually we have some of that too. We might crack into that a little bit later and try
variety pack. There we go.
Yeah, according to tastings.com, the Alien Amber Ale World Beer Awards in 2015 won the Golden Amber Ale category. They won that category, and at the New Mexico State Fair in 2015, they won a bronze at the English Brown Mild category.
Some of those, you know, I'm a sucker for, you get a good name, like you're going to get me every time. Like I'm going to try whatever it is you got. So I mean, I shouldn't qualify with if you got a good name. I'm just a sucker for beer. So that's, you get some sort of little gimmick or something like a fun looking tap handle or whatever, you're going to gain my attention. And kind of easy to sell on that or whatever. But I'd like to try, you know, like a handful of different kinds. It sounds, a lot of those sound like they'd be really good. I mean, it's obviously just based off the name. So it's, just, you know, it's hard names. To, They did a good job with the naming convention. I guess I'll put it that way.
I agree with you. That's kind of what I was thinking when I was going through the different beers they have listed on their website. They do have 4 of the alien ones, but they're not named anything special. They're just alien. So it's like the Alien IPA that we're drinking now, Alien Amber Ale, Alien Vanilla Stout, and Alien Imperial Stout. I would like to try to find the vanilla stout. I've always wanted to try a vanilla beer. I've read about it.
Sounds like it'd be interesting.
I never see them anywhere. But if anybody out there knows where I can get a vanilla beer, send it my way or send me where I can get one because I want to try a vanilla beer.
There you go. hit us up in the comment section, wherever that may be on your favorite platform, social media. React to the reels. Can you respond on reels? Can you reply on reels?
You can leave
I feel like you
comments
can.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like I've seen it, but I guess I don't know. I'm still learning some of this social media stuff. It's a good thing we have Sean, the social media empire.
I have no clue what the hell I'm doing. It's so confusing. A reel, a story, a post, like they're all different and they all do different things.
Right.
It's just, it's ridiculous.
Right. Well, once we make it big or we get like some, rich investor, like we'll hire somebody as a intern or something. Social media guru of some sort.
Social media.
If you work for beer, let us know. Like,
yeah, we could use a social media influencer, organizer, worker, reel maker, whatever you want to call it.
There we go. So if that is in your LinkedIn profile,
2guysinbeer@gmail.com.
There we go.
Send your resume too.
And by resume, like what kind of beers you like. That's pretty much what.
That's all we need to know.
If you respond with just a bunch of really cheap light beers, like we'll call you.
Yeah, that's about it. All I could find about this particular brewery. Not a whole heck of a lot.
Not a whole lot out there.
It's been around 20-some years. I couldn't find out much of the history of it, anything other than it moved and grew, and they have a RV park and
interesting.
Some alien-themed beer.
And so were you there, or did you just get it nearby?
I got it nearby. I bought the beer in Roswell, which is about 2 hours from, what is it,
Moriarty, I think.
Moriarty.
I didn't look that close. Moriarty?
Moriarty.
Okay.
Which is where the brewery is located. So
gotcha.
Roswell's a couple hours away.
Okay.
I didn't think on getting alien beer until I was in Roswell.
Were you abducted?
I
Hop-ducted?
I was a little bit, yeah.
That's how you ended up there?
I had a tingling feeling all over, so I just had to go to the nearest liquor store and get some alien-themed beer.
Things were fine. There may be a 3-hour gap in there that I don't remember, but, it's fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, Roswell, if anybody ever gets a chance to go there, I would recommend you go to Roswell. It's an interesting city. It's a fairly large city. Obviously their claim to fame is when the aliens crashed there, allegedly in 47, if I remember right, when I was down there.
Something like that.
But the whole downtown is all like aliens. Of course, they use the alien thing
absolutely
for everything. Like on the side of the bank, there's a mural of an alien pulling money out of an ATM. The barber shop has got aliens cutting hair. The Mexican restaurant's got an alien with a sombrero on and a mustache. Like they use that theme like you wouldn't believe. The McDonald's is a spaceship in Roswell. So you literally get into a metal spaceship.
It's absolutely everything. I mean, I suppose you got to maximize on all the things. If you're the one place in town that's like, we have a pizza, it's round. Or maybe they do a square pizza to try to because a round would be a saucer.
It would be.
So maybe our pizza is square and you can take your aliens away. Maybe they probably failed. That's probably why they don't exist anymore.
So they have like an alien fest there every year where thousands of people come from all over and put on alien sunglasses. And
is that is that the time when they were going to rush Area 51 or something like that? Remember weren't they going to on foot try to attack the place or something?
There was something about that. And it had nothing to do with the alien fest. That had to do with just people trying to attack the government, basically. And we're going to storm Area 51. You do that, you're going to get shot.
Yeah, I know.
Just so you know, do not do that.
Yeah.
That's the disclaimer.
Yeah, it's
not rush Area 51. You will get shot.
That sounds like one of those ideas that I've had a couple 17 or 18. I'm being hop-ducted in my own mind here. And now this sounds like a really good idea. But when you actually say it out loud, you're like, let's rush a secure government facility. I don't care if there's aliens in there.
Wrong?
What doesn't matter what's in there. It's not going to work out well. It's just not going to work out.
Not at all. And Area 51 is in Nevada too. So.
Oh, well, see, I wasn't even in the right state. I wasn't even,
it's a little ways away.
Fair enough. I don't know why I always thought that was in Mexico. Maybe it's just the Roswell connection. I always thought that was part of Roswell or something.
And the crash landing's about 75 miles northwest of Roswell.
Okay.
And they actually take tours out to the crash site.
They take tours out there. Okay.
We did not do that because I didn't really need to see sand in the desert.
But it was
there's
disturbed sand
from years ago.
It was moved by an unknown force in the 40s.
It sure was.
I'm sure it was.
They've got alien museums there. We did partake in the alien museum, which is actually set up in an old movie theater from the 30s.
Okay.
So that was kind of neat. And when we first walked in there, I was like, I don't know what kind of alien stuff they're going to have in the museum, but they basically had like government documents and movies, all alien theme type movies. They had like displays set up in there. They did have some artifacts from the crash landing, which was like
sand.
Yeah, a button that fell off on like an army officer's uniform when they were recovering the debris. A few other things, I can't remember what it was, but it was like 7 or 8 things behind a glass case, that they recovered from the crash site.
I keep trying to think in my own mind. And if you work there, like definitely reach out. Like, I want to know more. I want to know more information. I would like to have a conversation with somebody that works there. How do you discern or how do you decide this is something that's worth putting out there, but this is going too far? Where's the line? Like, where,
right.
You know what I'm saying? At some point, like, okay, we put a button from somebody that was out of the crash site. Okay, it might be a legit button off of dude that, broke it off of whatever he was doing out there.
Lifting something or whatever.
There may be like a bowl full of sand that was on the crash site that looks green or whatever it may be. But if it's all of a sudden like we have like the toe from an alien or whatever, but it's just like a long twig or something, like is that where, like, where's, and I know this gets into like conspiracy theory conversations and things like that and whatever. And I don't want to go down that road yet, right. But just from that standpoint, like if you're a curator, I don't even know if a curator would be the right word for that. I suppose if it's the Alien Museum, but if you're the curator of that, like where do you think that you've gone too far
with the stuff?
Like,
yeah.
Do you have to physically verify it? Like, nope, this is non-biological material. We can put it out there now. What? Okay. Like, I feel like that's a bigger thing.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I was surprised when I went in there. Like, what are they even going to have on display for a museum? So,
right.
A lot of movie themed stuff, a lot of photographs of lights in the sky with commercial airlines, a lot of like testimony from fighter pilots. A lot of fighter pilots always claim they see stuff, hence the term Foo Fighter,
Right.
From World War II. That's where Foo Fighters comes about.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Which is also an amazing band. But
I was going to say, I thought that Dave Grohl just made that up, but I suppose it probably comes from somewhere.
Yeah.
Huh?
So
I love
there's
that.
a lot of photos of that type of stuff. There's video clips of interviews from officers that have been interviewed about aliens or UFOs, which is unidentified flying object. You didn't know that?
Which is also, that's one of those things I've learned over, more recently or whatever, that like people use that term and kind of broadly, but really it's an unidentified flight. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is a spaceship. It might just be like I don't know whose drone that is.
Anything flying
That
through
is
the
a drone looking in my window, trying to look at me, try on different swimsuits or something. I don't know whose it is. UFO. I don't think that that's ever happened, but
it's pretty much the whole what you just said. UFOs, anything unidentified flying through the air. Anything that nobody can figure out what they see zipping through the air.
I suppose they'd probably be able to actually be like, hey, that's a drone, even though I don't know whose it is. But
right, like now though they call it UAPs, which is unidentified anomalous phenomena, which is basically their explanation to describe any objects in the air, sea, and space that defy easy explanation.
Do you ever think that acronyms sometimes have just been around so long that government especially is like, we need to come up with a different acronym? Because people always know what a UFO is. Let's try to throw another acronym out there to make it fresh and new. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that happens a lot.
I was actually thinking that earlier today.
It's weird. Like, I don't, and maybe it is like a better, more accurate description of the thing. But I feel like unidentified flying object kind of covers. That is literally what it is.
Like, we don't need to change it to UAP.
Right.
what's the difference? It's almost kind of goes back to post-traumatic stress disorder is what they call it now, but 80 years ago it was called shell shock.
Yep.
You know, maybe God bless all our American troops out there and service men and women that ever fought and did anything, even if you didn't fight and if you signed up. God bless you. Thank you so much. But I think it should still be called shell shock. I mean, maybe those people would actually get the care they deserve instead of it being called post-traumatic stress. Like, come on now.
And they've changed that name even so many times or whatever, with that too. But yeah,
that's every era of war, they call it something different. It's like, come on now. Same kind of thing. UFO, UAP, like UAP.
Well, and that's with the UFO. Is there like a very large uptick in UFO, like foreign alien UFOs, that we need to have a separate subset of that to more clearly define that? Is that what's happening? Do we have more aliens visiting recently that now we have to have a different name for them?
They must be. I don't know. I was thinking too, not too long ago when we were grade schoolish, aliens were kind of a thing. Like they had like those specials on Channel 5 News, well, not Channel 5 News, but they would do like a movie.
Circles? Crop circles were everywhere.
Then they disappeared for a while. And now these last 4-ish years, all of a sudden, like aliens are popping up all over again.
I haven't seen a good crop circle in I don't know how many years. What are you doing later?
Should we go out there and start making one?
Okay, yep. We'll cut that one from the record. Don't worry about it. You've been abducted.
I wonder if they ever determined what made all those crop circles.
I don't know. More often than not, I hear, it's so weird because more often than not, I always heard that it was just like, people wanted to get famous. So they took like somebody stood in the middle and then they took a rope and they pushed everything down. I'm like, well, that's great. But those are very intricate things. Or do you think that they just got here and it was aliens and they visited like, Ethel and Norman and they're not ready for us yet. Got to go.
Yeah, it's possible. They think they're not ready for us. Yeah, supposedly they're intelligent.
I mean, I guess, I don't know where they're coming from, but if they are able to get here, clearly they're able to bend some laws of, well, I guess you should say human laws of the thing or something. I don't know. Just because light's the fastest thing that we know of.
Right.
We haven't figured out warp speed yet. That's on Star Trek Voyager. I think they sort that out.
Well, apparently aliens haven't figured out. I don't know. If they exist, of course. I haven't shared what my opinion is yet, but who knows? But did you see the other day it was an article on Fox News. I don't typically watch mainstream media, but it just happened to be about aliens. Goldie Hahn, the old actress, Goldie Hahn.
Yep.
She has now stated publicly that she made contact with 2 or 3 extraterrestrial beings who touched her face when she was about 20 years old.
Was that when she was doing the movie? I just watched part of it the other day. Why can't I think of the name of the movie
she's in?
See, now this is where people are going to like come out of the woodwork as they're listening online. They're going to be like commenting like overboard. I don't remember she was like, a rich hoity-toity, going to get married and whatever to this super rich family. And she fell overboard. So I think it is overboard, but she like knocked her noggin and couldn't remember anything. So Kurt Russell, who is poor, destitute, and had 6 kids living in this like shanty, picks her up and is like, nope, yeah, you were totally my wife. And she's like, I don't think I was. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure you were my wife. And so you actually you were in charge of the cooking, the cleaning, and the taking care of all the kids. And the kids are like, who's this lady? What's happening here? And eventually, it kind of was like a reverse weird Hallmark thing where she fell for him instead of like the rich life or something. I don't know. I think it's called Overboard. I could be wrong. Was it during that movie where she knocked her noggin?
It might have been.
Wasn't sure who was touching her face.
When did that movie come out? I don't know. I can't recall ever watching any movies with her in it. I'm sure I have. But she said she was 20 years old. Her story is she was working as a dancer in Anaheim, California. She remembers wishing to be visited by extraterrestrials. And she then said 3 or 4 months later, she was dancing in West Covina, California, which is pretty close to the desert. And she asked one of her best friends if she could take a nap in his car. She was tired. It was rehearsal. She was a dancer, a lot of hard work. As she was preparing to go to sleep in the car, she heard a high-pitched sound in her ear. She said the frequency was a high frequency. which caused her to gaze out the car window. And she saw these 2 or 3 triangular shaped heads. And then she went on to say they were silver in color, a slash for her mouth, tiny little nose, and no ears. And they were pointing at her as if she was the subject of the conversation. She felt suddenly paralyzed. She didn't know if it was real or not. Then she went on to say that she burst out of her state of paralysis, like bursting out of a force field. And later on, she recalled they touched her face, and her finger felt like the finger of God. If the finger of God was reaching on you and touching your forehead. So that's her. That's her story.
So let's recap. So she's a dancer.
She's a dancer. She's 20 years old.
She's a dancer. She's 20. And she's like, I'm gonna go take a nap in my buddy's car.
She's famished. She's wore out from rehearsal.
I need to take a nap. Do you have anything to help me with the napping part?
Just
and then all of a sudden,
my AMC Rebel out there.
Yeah. So she goes to take the nap, and then she wakes up with people looking and pointing at her. Okay, and they touched her.
They touched her face.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just making sure that I get the highlights of the math here. That
you put in the equation.
I don't know how you test for roofies. Like how you. Okay,
especially back in her day, because she's a little older now,
right? Yeah, I mean, if she was in her 20s, that probably figure that. What's that? Got to be the 80s. That's got to be the 80s.
Well, she's 77 now, so 50
so
years
by my
ago,
math, is older than me. Yeah, so 70s. Yeah, 70s, early 80s, something like that.
A lot of acid going on in the 70s.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm not trying to laugh at it. It is funny, but it's not funny. I mean, if it really happened to her, that's pretty crazy. But of course, when you hear these stories, it's kind of comical. It
seems like that description just seems like kind of I may be able to poke some holes through that, kind of like poking her face. And if that actually is what happened, like you said, like, okay, we'll go with the bit.
So what do you think they were trying to do? If they're just like rubbing her cheek or like
I'm guessing it was probably like first responders being like, is she awake? Is she alive? Like, what's happening here? If it was aliens and they were trying to figure out what's going on, it was probably like they just landed and like, what's the intelligent life here? Like, here's a pile of goo that's shaped like something. Like I don't. If she's not responding, she just opens her eyes and they don't. They're like, wait, nothing. Okay, poker face again. Like
Lady Gaga, poker face.
Poker face. There we go. That's how you wake her up.
That's a good tune. They must not be that intelligent though, if they're just kind of like.
Right? Like, it seems like these are not the intelligent. These guys are going to contact the government and want to have like relations discussing universal decrees and things like that. This seems like the aliens that were like, Cletus and Jeff, go take the spaceship for a ride for a little while. I got to do some dishes here. Like, just go and get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, they don't seem like they skipped school to go and like, let's go mess with the humans or something.
So, do you think if alien spaceship landed, you could actually get inside and fly it?
No,
well,
absolutely
Smith
not.
Did. Men in Black.
He's way more talented than I will. Like, do I think that this is a completely different question or whatever, but that was posed to me at one point because that was like a big question that was out there for a while. It's like, if you were on a plane, let's say you're on a commercial jetliner, you are flying Delta, you are going to Aruba, you are on your way for vacation. It's going to be 37 below here for about a week and a half, and you're going to spend the entire time on the beach with some cocktails, toes in the water, ass in the sand.
Cocktails, Alien IPA.
You have a couple of those on your left hand. All of the things are working for you. But the pilot now has a massive issue. Co-pilot is confused and panicking and passes out. And they say, can you fly the plane? You can maybe get some assistance, through the old headphones or something like that or whatever. But that was the question. Is like, do you feel like you would be able to fly and or land a commercial jetliner? I kind of think I'd be able to figure it out if I got somebody coaching me on how to be able to do it.
I've watched enough air disasters on the Smithsonian Channel.
Absolutely.
I can fly any plane with any problem.
100%.
Flaps down,
Yeah.
power up.
Exactly. Put the gear down and just touch that thing right to the there we go. But as far as a alien spaceship, if I were to get into that thing, I don't think that there's a chance that I'd be able to fly that.
Well, the technology is so advanced, it's probably just like forward and back.
That's true.
There's
I probably
no
don't.
Flaps.
I don't. I gotta
There's
have
no
the
rudder.
I gotta have the link bracelet to be able to access the remote start, and then I can just mind meld. You know, like all right, Saturn, beep, and then there we go. Yeah, I don't think I have my doubts. Maybe I could. I don't know. Maybe I'm not really that talented of a guy, but maybe I could. I could figure it out. I tend to figure things out.
I'll take a drink that you can figure it
There
out.
we go. I appreciate the support there. That's
Yeah,
I can, as they say, I can
for.
fumble F my way through some things.
That's what I'm here for. So this summer, did you see that whole congressional hearing about aliens?
I didn't see a lot of it, but I did see there was like clips that showed up on Facebook and, you know, stuff that filters down to everywhere. But I did see there was, I don't know what rank he was or what was going on, but the guy that was a part of the thing that said, oh, yeah, we had some stuff there and it was non-biological. Like I seen that and I was like, oh, okay, well, all right.
Yeah.
There's something.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, I guess, when there's a congressional committee drilling people about UFOs and whatnot. So, yeah, this summer, it was 3 military veterans that testified in Congress to the House Oversight and Accountability Subcommittee hearing on UFOs. One of them, his name was Ryan Graves. He's the executive director of Americans for Safe Aerospace. Did anybody even know that's even a position? Ryan Graves, an executive director of Americans for Safe Aerospace.
I think he was the
How much
shortstop
are we
on one of the
paying him?
teams that played baseball this year. Like,
How much are we paying him to do this job? We already pay enough in taxes, but now we're paying for a director of Americans for Safe Aerospace.
and you see, if you say there's a director, that entails or that insinuates, I guess, that there is multiple support staff. Because you're not just a director if you're just the one guy. I'm assuming there is subordinates of some sort.
And multiple,
So,
I'm sure.
And this guy probably has a whole building that he works with. But carry on.
It's something we might have to Google.
Well,
What this guy does. Also, there was a David Grouch. He's a retired Air Force major. And there was also another gentleman that was on this hearing, David Favor. He's a retired Navy commander. So they were in there on Congress getting questions by this accountability subcommittee. They all claimed that the U.S. government has operated a secret multi-decade reverse engineering program of recovered vessels. They also claimed the U.S. has recovered non-human biologics from the alleged crash sites, adding that was the assessment of the people with direct knowledge on the UAP. And again, the UAP is unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP.
maybe I'm in the minority, but there's a certain part of me that's like, let's say all of those things are true, that they are like reverse engineering from like
spaceships.
this, you know, this
You gotta
guy,
know how they function.
yeah, Bo Fnerp crashed his thing into the side of the mountain or something, and we have now created all of this technology, and now they're having this whole discussion or whatever. In my side of it, I'm kind of like, that's fine. I don't care. Why is that a problem? Like, it seems rather efficient to come up with generations worth of technology rapidly. It seems good. It seems positive. It seems like a step in the right direction. Why are we all of a sudden like having hearings? They're like, whoa. You with the progress. Come over here.
Oversight committee.
We need to have a chat about how you came up with that progress.
Well, I have a theory about it. I'll tell you in a minute.
It seems like a good thing.
It could be, but my theory that I'll explain in a little bit is not really a good thing. But
Fair.
I'll tell you my theory on the whole thing. That's when we put our tinfoil hats on, and
that's where we
dive in a little bit there.
That's where we get deep.
Yeah, but retired Major David Grouch went from being part of the Pentagon's UAP task force to becoming a whistleblower. He told the House Oversight Committee that he had been denied access to some government UFO programs, but he knows the exact locations of the UAPs in U.S. possession. However, he did say he hasn't personally seen any alien vehicles or bodies, and that his opinions are based on the accounts of over 40 witnesses he interviewed over 4 years in his role with the UAP task force. His testimony is based on information he has been given by individuals with a long-standing track record of legitimacy and service to this country, according to him.
Right.
So is this kind of like
who is
hearsay?
head of the UAP task force? Okay.
So this is kind of like hearsay now.
Right.
Because we're just getting his information.
This guy
other
said
people.
that I asked some other guys that heard at Starbucks.
Over
Might have been
mocha.
Caribou, but likely Starbucks. Like,
apparently, many of these people who shared evidence with him in the form of photography, official documentation, and classified oral testimony. He added that this trove of evidence that he's been involved with has been intentionally kept from Congress.
what does Congress need to do with that?
Well, I suppose they fund whatever is funding. You know, these people have to be funded somehow.
Right.
Well, Congress,
Right.
that's their job, is to fund whatever.
Right.
So
Right. But I feel like it's kind of like, all right, give 2 or 3 of the best and brightest an opportunity to be able to like, yeah, this is legit. We need to give them some money. And then the rest of the people that just got elected because they were the most popular football player probably don't need to know all of the salient details. But that's, again, just me, in my opinion. But
yeah, if you watch the clip on YouTube, I watched some of it on YouTube. It was interesting that the congressional members that were asking him these questions were asking him if he had any contact with aliens or whether anyone had been murdered to cover up information about extraterrestrial technology. Roush said he couldn't comment. He only would elaborate in a skiff. If you don't know what a skiff is, that's where the president reviews documents and nothing can kind of get in or out. So
yeah,
he said he would only answer some of their questions in a skiff. With documentation. So I don't know. But why report all this now?
Right. Yeah. What prompted?
Why is this a big deal?
What prompted this to all of a sudden pop up?
Well, I have a theory.
Okay. Theory time. Is this where the hats come out?
I'm not quite to the theory yet.
Okay.
And really, I don't know that we need
I'm still folding the hat. We're still working on that. I'm not quite there yet.
Get the tinfoil hats ready. And I don't even know if you would need a tinfoil. Like, I think my theory is pretty solid. If I have a pretty good track record of, well, I don't have a good track record, but government does of lying.
Right.
A lot.
Right.
About a lot of things.
Our government?
Our government.
Wait, this one? Okay.
The United States government.
There we go.
Yeah. What's interesting about all this stuff, have you ever watched that movie Snowden?
I have not seen it.
What's his name?
I've seen that it exists.
What's the actor's name? Joseph
Gordon-Levitt.
Levitt, yeah.
There we go.
Awesome actor.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
So I've seen Snowden. Great movie. And it's actually depicted in part of that movie. But if you actually watch interviews with Edward Snowden, he talks about it. You know, when he had the most highest clearance, whatever, he can find any file he wanted, go into any system he wanted. He said he personally looked for alien stuff because he was interested. He's like,
absolutely.
Can I find this? He said he didn't find a single file in any government database having to do with aliens.
Well, it's probably in the skiff.
So
it's way in here.
So that's kind of interesting. You know, I mean, he had pretty much clearance to see anything he wanted. And he said he couldn't find any files or anything about aliens.
Well, I mean.
So who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Right.
And that goes on to my next point. I just watched this like maybe 2 months ago. You ever heard of Bob Lazar?
No.
So there's a documentary. It's actually on Netflix now. It's called Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers. So he became a whistleblower in the late 80s. I don't remember exactly when, 87, 88, 89, somewhere in there. And the documentary is pretty interesting. When he actually got re-interviewed again a couple of years ago, in the beginning of the interview, he's like, I don't know why you're talking to me again. I've already given you everything that I know back in the 80s. Like, I'll do one more interview. He hadn't even spoken publicly about it in over 20 years. He's like, I'll give you one more interview, but I can't tell you anything that I didn't tell you in the 80s. But basically, Bob Lazar claims he was hired to reverse engineer extraterrestrial technology, which is interesting. He said that in the 80s.
Right.
Well, if you go back to that congressional hearing, that one guy said that he's got information or evidence suggesting that we reverse engineered extraterrestrial technology. And apparently this work was supposedly occurred at a secret site called S4, which I did a little research on that, and that's actually been confirmed to exist by the United States government, which is not, it's close to Area 51, but it's not at the Area 51 base. It's a little ways away, but they have confirmed that S4 does exist.
So S4, Area 51 is where they skipped. It bounced. It's okay.
Like skipping a rock on water.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was a saucer. It's a ring, like, I don't know.
So S4 has been confirmed to exist close to Area 51. And Bob Lazar talks about that in his interview from the 80s. And he talks about that in his interview from the 80s. And he claims to have examined alien craft and read U.S. government documents that described alien involvement in human affairs. I found that kind of interesting because that comes all the way back from the 80s. He's talking about that stuff. And the same thing he talked about a couple of years ago when they brought it up again. So what's interesting about Bob Lazar, though, of course, is he has not changed his story since the 80s. When they interviewed him again just a few years ago in 2018, his story was the same. They didn't change. He hasn't changed anything of his story. They even put side-by-side shots on of his most recent interview and his interview from the 80s. And they're exactly the same as much as you possibly can without reviewing them. I mean, of course, a couple words were changed, but the same general premise, the same general idea of what he was trying to say and when he was a whistleblower was the same from 2018 till back then. He also, when he was interviewed in 2018, he talked about in order to get into the S4, he had to put his hand on the scanner, and the scanner would like scan bone density in your hands, and that's how you get access to the S4 facility. And the guy that interviewed him in 2018 actually handed him some pictures, and Bob Lazar looked at the photos, and he kind of lit up and chuckled and was like, I can't believe you have photos of these. I never, ever thought I would see one of these hand scanners again, on how he got in there. So it's kind of interesting how his same story is basically the same for 30 years and didn't change anything at all.
Yeah, because that's usually, like either multiple times being questioned or time, like there's variances and you remember things different or
catch them in something. It's
right.
Pretty much dead on both times. He never claims to have seen alien bodies.
Mm.
He does claim to have seen maybe like a dummy of an alien when he was walking through S4. He said he turned to the left and saw like something on like a gurney in there, but he's like, I couldn't make out what it was. He wasn't responsible for any of that. He was responsible for reverse engineering the spacecraft that apparently we have.
Right.
And trying to figure out how it worked and how we can use that technology. So that was Bob Lazar. If you get a chance, watch the documentary on Netflix, Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers. Pretty interesting on how all that works. Just watching it, whether you believe it or not, it was interesting to me. And I'll tell you my honest opinion, I don't believe aliens exist. They could, but it's just, I can't get into it. If people believe it and they feel they've been abducted, like it's more power to you. I don't disbelieve you, but in order for me to believe in aliens, the saucer would literally have to land right out in the front yard here, and an alien would have to walk out, give me a high five. I would literally have to walk onto the spacecraft in order for me to believe it.
So you can see whether you could fly it.
Right. That's the first thing I would do because I want my pilot's license, and that's what I would be flying. So,
which we need to get that figured out too, but that's a whole separate conversation.
So I don't personally believe aliens exist. I mean, they could. I certainly am not saying they don't. It's just my personal belief.
Mm-hmm.
Something I'd have to really see to believe. But I find it interesting how all this alien talk has been coming back.
Right.
But I'll tell you my theory.
Seemed kind of abrupt.
So what's your... Do you believe in aliens? I'll let you go ahead and answer now.
Well, I think I probably kind of... I don't know if it's a Switzerland type of answer, but I'm kind of almost in between a little bit of that. I guess I would probably have to say I feel like aliens probably do exist because it's a big freaking universe out there. Do I think that they've been here? I'm a little bit less convinced of that. I'm a little bit closer I'm sure that they're out there, but I've also seen the limitations of time travel, space travel, not necessarily time travel, space travel, like just how to cross great distances. Like it seems kind of excessive. So if they've been here, where did they come from and how many generations were on that ship to get here? Like it just seems like too many things to overcome. But if they've been here, I mean, clearly they have better technology than what we have. So I got to believe that there's life out there somewhere, but I have no idea where and nothing to base that on whatsoever. It just is. It's one of those things. It's a big freaking sky. There's a lot out there.
There's a lot going on.
We're awfully kind of small. And so I got to believe that there's something somewhere as far as intelligent life. Oh, I would assume maybe so, like civilizations much older than us. Some that are probably right now that are probably dirt, that are worms crawling around or something. I don't know. But yeah, as far as if they've been here or not, I don't know. That's the other part too. Like it's a big freaking sky. How did they end up here? Like of all places, maybe they got to Mars and they're like, well, we've covered 7 of the planets, so it's fine. So we're going to head back. Maybe, I don't know. I suppose I'll only be 6 of them because it'd be Earth, Mercury, Venus. Okay, whatever. Math was not my strongest, but I don't know. Maybe they figured it out. They figured out the answers and they crashed here on accident and they were late getting home for supper. And so somebody came back to check on them 25 years later or something. I don't know. So yeah, is that really an answer? I mean, yes, but no.
That's answer enough. Yeah.
I guess that's kind of how I look at it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just don't buy it. I have a hard time with it. I just don't buy they exist. I mean, maybe they do. I don't discount anybody that believes that. Believe what you want. I can't get into that. But it is what I do find it interesting. I'm willing to watch documentaries about it. I'm willing to learn more about it. I can't quite get behind it. But I'll tell you my theory. So here's my theory about why aliens and everything is kind of making a comeback. And this kind of goes in with government.
It's not because it's retro.
It is not retro.
Okay.
They're advanced.
Everything old is new again.
So if you get into government and politics and world government and stuff, even back when the first George Bush ran the company. Well, I guess we're a company. Yeah. We're an empire. They talk about one world government. They don't want multiple governments on Earth. They want money, power, greed, control, all those people in power. Well, so here's my theory behind it. Government lies all the time. They lie to get us in war, which has been proven time and time again. So what if governments always had technology that we don't know exists? That's what they do. With the atomic bomb, they had GPS in the 70s. Well, we didn't even get access to that until the late 90s, early 2000s for civilian use. The stealth bomber, the SR-71 Blackbird that could fly in space, and it was so fast it could fly away from missiles when Russia shot at it. So we have all this, and those were built in the 60s.
Right.
That type of technology. So all this type of technology. So it wouldn't surprise me if in these bases we had technology of these ships that can go left, right, up, down, propulsion that the government just won't release to us.
Right.
So they use this aliens, to gain control over everybody, kind of like COVID. And I'll tell you why. So if we have this technology where you can go left, right, up, down, propulsion, no exhaust, fast as you want, what if the government decided to build 50 of those craft? Let's just say they exist. Well, with the one world government, ultimate control, and they got to control the population and the people. Well, what if you stage an alien invasion? What's their ruse going to be? They'll kill some people. These new flying craft are going to come that we've never seen, like an SR-71 or a stealth bomber. And then everybody's going to clamor for the government to protect them.
Right.
So it could very well be a theory where the government is slowly leaking a little more stuff about, yes, aliens exist. Yes, we have non-biologics. Yes,
and then all of a sudden they show up.
Bam, and there they are, and they start attacking people and killing people. And no, you all have to huddle up here because we're going to protect you.
Hundreds and hundreds of years, nothing's happened, but now all of a sudden they start bringing it up and
kind of change everything. So that's my tin hat theory behind it. Like, what if it's not out of the realm of possibility where government could be planning something like that, just to gain ultimate control over the people? And that's my theory, anyways.
Huh? Yeah. I guess I don't know that I have a theory. I don't have a counter theory. Not that I have to have a counter theory, but I don't really have a theory of my own. I just think it's odd that it's all come up, but I don't know. Maybe somebody found an extra button on the desert or something like
or
that.
a thimble or a couple grains of sand that were burnt up.
It's true. Yeah, these ones are way darker than the rest of them. So clearly this is the trail off of the jet stream. Space stream? Saucer stream.
They don't even have
Saucer
streams. They don't leave. They don't emit to anything. And
Yeah,
if you
I
watch
suppose.
all those reports from like Navy pilots and fighter pilots, there's no exhaust. There's no nothing that come out of these supposed craft.
Huh. Interesting.
I
It'd
watched.
be fun to drive one though. That'd
It
be
sure
for sure.
would.
Absolutely.
I watched a clip earlier of our fighter jets couldn't even like stay locked onto these things, whatever it was flying through the air. These UFOs or these dots just flying over like fast, and you'll be like our radar. You could see because the Pentagon released these videos of our radar trying to catch up, and they couldn't catch up and stuff, and there was no trail, no nothing. So. It's interesting.
And do you think that they've already made 1550 or whatever you were saying of those ships, and that was actually just them testing
It could be.
on other pilots?
It
Just
could
like
be.
testing. Go ahead, catch me if you can.
It could be.
You ever watched the movie Broken Arrow where they fly through, the needles or
I have
whatever it
watched
was,
that movie, yeah.
that kind of thing. They're trying to find, you got to test everything, right?
I mean, it could be.
I don't know.
mean, we've got a guy in the 80s saying he reversed engineered the stuff. You got this other guy just recently, as this summer, saying we reverse engineered stuff. I don't know. It could be.
Yeah.
I mean, it may not be either. It could just be the tin hat theory, but
Right. You never know. I mean, if you're going to believe in aliens, you may as well believe in
if
anything
you want
else,
ultimate
too.
control over people, what a better way to do it
Yep.
than
Yep.
to fly in.
Nobody unites people
Craft
more
that
than either
nobody's
the
seen.
hatred or fear of something else.
Pretty much. You
So-
fly in 50 craft you've never seen before, kill some people. Oh, government, it's alien invasion, everybody. Oh, we got to protect everybody.
Mhm.
And then there go your rights and your freedoms, and
Yeah.
you're doing what you're told.
Right.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, some people will. Some people
Some
won't.
people
just 'cause-
won't. Yeah, I
some
would be
people
one of
does-
those.
Some people
that
doesn't
won't.
even matter what you're told.
Yeah.
So that's our. I guess that's our tale of the old Sierra Blanca Brewing Company. Yeah, out of Moriarty, New Mexico. Alien IPA is what we had. Multiple different kinds that are out there though, and a little bit of alien talk and a little bit of government conspiracy potential talk and a little bit of everything that we kind of covered on this episode. So, Sean, anything more to add?
No, just if you let us know your thoughts on aliens in the comments on any of our social media platforms. I'm just curious what you guys think. If you believe in them, if you don't believe in them, just let us know. Or on all the social media platforms, all the podcast platforms. And thanks a lot, everybody.
And if you have another beer you'd like us to be able to try, drop that in the comments as well. This was our tale of Sierra Blanca, and many more to come here in the future. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Rumble, all of the different social media platforms. Of course, all of your major podcast platforms as well. So definitely like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, I guess, and whoever it is that wants to listen to it or whatever. But yeah, definitely let us know, your thoughts on, the episode today, or something you'd like to be able to hear us talk about in the future. So that's our episode on Sierra Blanca with Alien IPA. And until next time, have a good night, everybody.
Thanks. God bless.